Those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. Friedrich Nietzsche. Up until the age of 27 or the age of reason, I had only read a handful of books and bought even fewer books. This was the stack that I bought or had prior to last 6 months. Some of them are of my sisters. I think these are the handful of books that I really bought for myself to read. But within the last 6 months or so, something clicked inside of me, and I spent not one but 2,000 rupees. Sorry, dollars. Rupees would be crazy. $2,000 on my reading habit. That includes these and a few more books next to my bed. And I'm making this so that you don't have to experiment your hard-earned money on experimenting with your reading habit. You could even start reading without spending any money if you want. I did 3 major book hauls where I bought over 50 books at around $500, so $10 a pop on an average. And I spent $1,400 on 2 of these. Stupid, I know, but I'll explain. And I spent nearly $100 on digital books that I could not get my hands on. But why? Why this madness? Why I'm going from this pace of buying, say, 1 book every 3.5 years to this pace of buying dozens and dozens of books every once in a while? Did I win a lottery? No. Did my father give me my inheritance? No, not yet. Do I have a screw loose on my mind? No, I don't have a loose screw, or so I would like to think. According to Morgan Housel, the author of The Psychology of Money, we are all just newbies. Every decision people make with money is justified by taking the information they have at the moment and plugging it into their unique mental model of how the world works. Let me give you an example of my mom. She doesn't buy groceries from a nearby supermarket that we have next to our house. Instead, she goes to the one which is 15-20 minutes away from our house. And her reasoning is she gets 10 to 20 rupees cheaper, which is like 10-15 cents, give or take, on every single item. And to me, that's crazy because she's not saving her time, and instead she is trying to save few cents here and there. But after reading this, I began to think she's not crazy after all. She has been doing that for more years than I have been on this earth. It's perfectly rational to her and to her mental model. And I think that can be applied to my reading habit as well. We all do crazy stuff with money because we are all relatively new to this game. And what looks crazy to you might make sense to me. But no one's crazy. We all make decisions based on our own unique experiences that makes sense to us in any given moment. So let's begin with the insane of all expenditures. iPads. $1,400 and 2 iPads. By this time, you should know that I am a software engineer and I like technology, and I would not mind using it if it can replaces a lot of traditional things. An iPad can be a book, a gaming device, a notepad, and a whole lot more. So I bought an iPad thinking I would torrent the shit out of digital books, one of the perks of living in Nepal, and save a lot of money in the long run instead of buying physical books every time I need to read something. I could virtually store hundreds, if not thousands, of books on this tiny little thing, and this would not break a sweat. I am all in for saving the hard-earned money, even if it means higher investment upfront on an expensive device like iPad or Kindle. But it's not that simple. As much as I want to be a hip, minimalist techie using iPad and avoiding physical books, saving trees and stuff, I was wrong about iPad for a couple of reasons. They have definitely come a long way since my iPad Mini 1, which I recently sold. They are practically a mini computer now. And for that same reason, I bought an iPad with an external keyboard and a trackpad. And when my dad saw it, he was like, "Computers have come a long way." And I was like, "Okay, Dad, here you go. Just stop sending me good morning gifs while we are under the same roof." And he agreed. So there goes my first iPad to my dad, and I immediately bought another one, hoping to pursue my dream of reading hundreds of books while still being a hip minimalist. But it turns out my eyes hurt a lot when I read on an iPad, as I already spend way too much amount of hours in front of a screen at my work. And I recently went for a checkup, and all they gave me was some artificial tear. So I had no other option but to reduce my screen time somehow. Reading long hours on a screen wasn't an option. Secondly, it's plagued with easy distractions, and I am guilty of playing Clash of Clans to this day. They keep releasing new updates one after another. I'm on Town Hall 10, by the way. And thirdly, it doesn't beat the real thing. Doesn't beat it at all. Nothing can beat the experience of reading a real book on your hand. Maybe some obscure, super advanced technology in the future will, but for now, these are the real deal. The turning of pages, the smell of paper, the weight of book, the scribbling on the side. Trust me, you'll fall in love with it. However, it's all not sad and gloomy on the technology front. iPads are great for travel, and I'll have a bunch of books at my disposal at any given time. And I can still read some of my favorite books which I could not find here on my local bookstores. And sometimes, whenever I'm writing something and I need a quick reference from a book that I read, and if I cannot find it on a page, I can do a quick search on iPad and find that exact text or reference much quickly. And that is how I'm incorporating iPad into my reading and writing workflow. And I hope that clears out whether or not you should buy an iPad for your reading habit. Now let's jump to the real thing, the real deal. Because this is what got me started reading in the first place, and also got me to try out different ways to efficiently read more. I now have around 50 or so books in self-improvement, psychology, creativity, fiction, science, and I hop between a couple of books regularly. Clearly, I've come a long way from being a cheap fuck who doesn't buy his books to a madman who buys books like crazy. But you don't have to be at either of these extremes. If I could go back in time, say 5 years, I would rather buy a book every single month and try to read it and slowly develop my habit of reading books. That is what I recommend to most people out there. Just buy one single book every single month and keep at it. We need to change our mindset from thinking books as an expense to books as an investment. On the outside, it may seem like we are buying physical items and spending our money, but actually we are buying an experience when we read them. We can tap into the years of knowledge that writers have in their field, and we can learn the distilled version of their knowledge and understanding of how things work, and use that knowledge as a leverage in our life. We can always take what applies to us and discard the rest. My current investment in books and on my reading habit is a tiny yet direct reflection of the returns that I was able to make because of the books in the first place. And it's paradoxical. I know. You don't have the money, therefore you don't buy the books. And when you don't have the books, you don't have the knowledge to leverage upon. It's the classic chicken and the egg problem. It's a vicious cycle. But once you escape that vicious cycle one book at a time, you'll find endless treasure troves of knowledge in these books. And you can use that knowledge to take carefully assessed actions, or in other words, risks, to push your life in an upward spiral, which is why I've been doubling down on these books as soon as I saw insane returns on my investment. So next time you hear someone says, I read a book and it changed my life, they're not kidding. But even after all this convincing, if buying a book does not seem like a viable way for you, hold on, I got a few more options for you. You could always borrow a book from your local library or a friend, or if you already have few books lying around, you could exchange them with strangers via online forums in your city or in your neighborhood. You could also try ebooks or audiobooks in your phone. And if you are watching this on YouTube, chances are you can find many great summaries on many different books by many people. Even I recently made a video where I go through all of these books that I recently bought and my reasoning behind why I bought them. And if you don't have the time to watch that video, you can visit keshavdulal.com/books for my all-time best recommendations. But in dire circumstances, say you are broke and you only have a phone and internet, try torrent. Now, this is not a legal advice. Pay attention to your local cyber laws against the use of peer-to-peer networks and be cautious with this. But if you are somewhere where it's legally safe to use torrent or peer-to-peer network, then by all means, library genesis all the way. Again, this is a very fine line to walk between desperation and morality, and even I'm guilty of it. Once you reap the knowledge and utilize it in your life and gain returns from it, try to give back to the authors and publishers by actually going and buying their books and spreading the knowledge or even giving out books. Life is a positive sum game. The more you give, the more you get. And just keep reading whatever media or form works best for you in your favor. They say the last best time to plant a tree was 40 years ago, and the next best time is today. So keep going. Why wait? For me personally, buying a physical book and scribbling and highlighting them has been the best experience so far. I can open a book and ponder over the lines and thoughts for a while without worrying about the battery level or the screen brightness. And I don't even have to worry about any kind of distractions that it might come attached when I use something digital. And these books have also helped me to develop a sense of responsibility whenever I see them. If I have hundreds of books on this, all I see is this tiny little thing. No matter how many books I load into this, it will always remain of same shape and size. But if I buy books, I can see this stack, this volume, this mass in front of my eyes. And we humans are more cognitive beings. We think more visually. And whenever I see a stack of unread books, I feel a sense of responsibility towards them. I feel like, man, I should read some of these. I paid for them, so let's get going. I've tried and experimented with a lot of things to develop this habit of reading books and consume more knowledge, and again apply them in my life and share with it to the community. I'll still keep tweaking my habit to achieve better results in the coming days and hopefully share the same over here with you guys. And I just hope this was helpful and helps you to be more mindful about your expenses in your reading journey. If you made it till here, I would like to thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. You can find more interesting resources on my website, keshavdulal.com/wonder. I'm reworking on the website and adding carefully curated resources there day by day. You could also support this endeavor by subscribing to the channel or by liking or commenting on the video. Feedbacks and questions are always more than welcome. Yeah, you could follow me on Instagram, I guess, if you want to see the sneak peek of my day-to-day of how I go about doing my things. And lastly, before I go, keep dancing to that tune that Nisha was referring to. See ya.